Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen, I am once again the Immortal Cave and SamWeTrust.blogspot.ca, and I'm also incredibly late with this. I do apologize, but my time's kind of been eaten lately. I've kind of not had exactly the most time at the moment, and a lot of it's my fault for not making the time to do this. But yes, this is my very long overdue, far beyond 1 week after it ended, thoughts on Series 7 now. I've only actually rewatched one of the episodes, but I've seen like clips and sound bites, read clips, that type of thing. Again, I haven't had the time to really fully watch 5 episodes of Doctor Who, at the moment anyway. But no, this is just kind of my very tentative thoughts on the season so far. And in all honesty, Series 7 so far has been pretty good. It's had a lot of really good moments. It's had a lot of really cool moments. It brought back the Daleks, which I'm all for bringing back the Daleks. I love them. But one of the main problems with this is just the fact that it was a lot more. They intended to do it, and it worked for what it was, but was the amount of import placed on one episode, as opposed to the whole season as a whole. Something I loved about each season is tracking the seasonal story, trying to figure out how it's going to end. Now, obviously, we all knew what this little I can't even really call it Season 7. I kind of want to call it like the prologue to Season 7. But with this little bit, we all knew what the point was, which was saying goodbye to Amy and Rory. Because, their actors left the show and whatnot. And they had to find out some way of getting rid of the characters and just having them. By the way, spoilers. I'm going to say that right now. Massive, massive spoilers. I'm spoiling the whole season. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Etc. But obviously the two of them died in Angels Take Manhattan. And it was. I think if the point of this was building up to Angels Take Manhattan and building up to the deaths of the two of them, then it did work in that sense, because I do think that Angels Take Manhattan is a great episode. And I do think that Angels Take Manhattan completed its objective 100%. Like, no question. Absolutely no question. Because, like I said, Matt Smith had me going for a couple seconds. He, did an amazing, amazing, amazing job. Making you really feel like he just lost his best friend. He just lost everything. And you really do feel bad for him. And you really do feel the situation. It was excellent. Karen Gillan was excellent. I do think that maybe it would have been nice to have seen something with Rory as well, but since they really didn't, they kind of just glossed over it. But really, it is about the two of them. And to that aspect, I think it worked. Because, everything happened. And then in that little, the little epilogue thing that got released as a little, storyboard sketch with Rory narrating over it. Saying, that they eventually adopted, and the man who brought Roy's father the letter was, in fact, their son. I believe his name's Anthony. Or Antony, or however they pronounced it. Anthony. Anyway, I do kind of wish that it would have been in that, but the actual epilogue itself was pretty good. I will admit, and because we found out that they couldn't have kids, the fact that they adopted, it did feel a bit complete and it did kind of work, but I still think, and here's my biggest problem with Series 7, is that it should have been reordered. Or things should have been done a touch differently. Maybe not reordered the episodes, but just reordered what happened in them. I really think that, the third or fourth episode should have been the the two splitting up. And the other episodes, like, having hints building up to it. But again, that's the biggest problem, was they segmented each episode so that each episode was important compared to the season. And I don't think it was bad, but it just, like I said, I've always loved Doctor Who because I love watching the episodes, and I love watching the season as a whole and trying to figure out what's going to happen, or trying to, you know, the only real actual season I've actually seen so far completely as it was airing was season 6, because I came in slightly after series 5 concluded. So I've only really got that happen once, and I loved it. You know, I loved guessing how the Doctor was going to get out of it. You know, everyone always said it was either going to be the gangers or the oh, bloody hell, the shape-changing robot ship thing, the Tesselecta. That's it, Tesselecta. You know, it ended up being the Tesselecta. But I do think that, you know, Series 6 was great. It's my favorite season so far, but I'm rambling. Rambling way off topic, but that's kind of the thing, is just that, and I do realize this wasn't a full season. This was just a little chunk of a season. But the thing is, I'm looking forward to the Christmas special. I'm looking forward to the rest of Series 7, and I'm trying to think, you know, how will this fit with it? How will Series 7 feel as a whole? And the thing is, I'll always think of the first 5 episodes as that part. So it's not so much Series 7, it's Series 7 and Series 6.5 is kind of what I'm calling it, because it kind of continues on with what was happening. And I'm including the Christmas special, the Dr. Widow in the Wardrobe. Dr. Widow in the... Yeah, the Dr. Widow in the Wardrobe. I can never remember the name of that fully. But since that kind of concluded the fact that, you know, the Doctor and Amy and Rory all know that he's alive and everything's normal, and then it continues on. But no, I getting back, I'm tangenting like crazy here, sorry. It's been a little while since I've done one of these, so my brain's a little scattered, and I'm doing this very off the cuff, off the wing, on a complete random, just thought I'd finally do it. But, no, like I said, my biggest problem was the fact that you can't track it, and that you can't track the season progress, because you only got very small hints. But, like I said, I do think it should have been reordered. I think that it should have been, and they could have done it, that it still felt strong as an episode. As a single episode, like with no lead-offs. If they left very subtle hints regarding what was going to happen. Like the Stephen Moffat era has been very well known for some subtlety, obviously some outrageously obvious stuff, but for very good subtlety in terms of the story. Not subtlety is obviously stuff like the Tesselecta and the gangers being kind of an obvious, this is how he's going to solve the problem this season. Subtlety being more like in Series 5, in Flesh and Stone, I believe it was, when you saw the Doctor talking to Amy, and you only later found out that it was the Doctor from the future, kind of, talking to Amy. You can kind of actually see his shirt, which he wasn't wearing at the time. So it was kind of like, some people may have thought it was like a continuity error, but it turned out being actually rather clever. I think they could have done it very subtly, had each episode. I'm not sure how, and I hate doing that, like just saying I think they could have done it without actually saying how I would have done it. Because that's not, it just sounds like it should have been better without, it's not really helpful criticism. And I hate shooting out non-helpful criticism, or not constructive criticism. That's the term I was trying to think of. I hate doing that. But really, the biggest problem with it was really the episodic nature. Though again, that's kind of the thing. It was bad for the season, but it was good for each episode because each episode was really good. Aside from the Daleks, I did rewatch, and it was even better than it was the first time. Actually, it stood up a lot better. You know, Dinosaurs, upon my recollection, was a bit better as well. Again, I've only seen clips and quotes and stuff, but since the original airing. But it does stand up a bit more. You know, the entire season as a whole, except for Power of Three, which was the weakest episode this season, no question. Like I said, I did have a little bit of a bias just because it was a modern England episode, which was really good. You know, I do like those types of episodes where it's set in modern times and just something weird happens. You know, I really like those, and I did miss them. But really, that's kind of it was the weakest episode, no question. The strongest, it's between Angels and Town Called Mercy for me. Town Called Mercy, I still think is an excellent episode. It's got a few issues, but just what it does right, it does so right. You know, the grayness of the villains, who really is the villain, and just it feels triumphant at the end. Like, you feel really good when you find out that the gunslinger became the sheriff for the town, and he's still there today. Like, stuff like that, I really like that. And it felt really good at the end of it. Power of Three felt like it was building up to a terrible pun, because it was. And while I do think that the Shockery, while really cool, they did, when I actually watched a review of it, I believe it was The Last Angry Geek, on That Guy with the Glasses, he pointed out something to me that I kind of thought about for a second, which was that the Shockery remind me a lot of the Reapers from Mass Effect. And he's right, they are very similar. Though I will give them credit that it's different enough with the hologram of the old dude. You know, I do think that the Shockery, you know, if they come back, and I hope they do, could be really cool, but just that was a really iffy episode. Just because nothing really happened, and then when things started happening, it wasn't really that interesting. Because we were all kind of like, at the point. It's kind of like how I feel about the Human Nature Family of Blood episodes. And yes, I still say that they're not as good as most people think. Just because the first episode alone was just kind of really dull. And then the second episode was kind of dull at first, and then it did get really good, I will give credit. You know, where it was good, it was excellent. But I just don't think it was worth an episode of utter boredom. But I'm getting off topic again. Angels Take Manhattan, excellent episode. Excellent episode, obviously. You know, a few things here and there. Again, I like the Angels, but I do think they're a little overrated, especially since I haven't found them scary since Blink. They were scary in Blink, but not past that. I do like them, again, but I'm rambling again. But no, I do like Series 7 as of right now. Comparatively speaking, I think the overall theme is worse than 6, but a bit better than 5. But I do think that, compared to 5 and 6, the actual strength of the season as a whole isn't quite as good. Though I will admit that the first 4 or 5 episodes of Series 6 were kind of good, but just not my taste. It didn't feel as strong in that first 4 episodes. I'm rambling again. I think it was really good. I think it's comparable to the other 2, but just not quite there. But, no, I might have a few other things coming up in the next few weeks, just like random stuff. I'm going to try and actually watch the Christmas special, review it. But anyway, on the Immortal Cave and SandwichRust.blogspot.ca, I shall see you later.